Hi. I said I was going to do a reading on Trump's parents and Melania's parents, which I will do, and then I want to do one on Scott Pruitt. So we'll just see how long the first one takes, which is the parents. So the first one, I'm going to do Trump's parents. I don't know much about them. I know his father was called Fred, and he was an aggressive real estate guy. That's all I know about Fred. Mary is another story, the mother Trump. She comes from a little island off the coast of Scotland in the Hebrides called Lewis, the island of Lewis. Now, if he's 71, she'd have to be, she's not alive, but if she was alive, she'd have to be 95 or something. That puts her in a generation on the Isle of Lewis. They would have been Gaelic speakers. They were Gaelic speakers then. English was a second language. So they spoke Island Gaelic. And by definition, she would have been a tough cookie. These were very tiny fishing communities. The men were often killed while they were fishing in the North Atlantic in small boats. Enormous poverty. No one with much money on Lewis. And she also migrated early, I think she was 19 or something, to America. Hello, migrants, for a better life. So she came to America for a sister, met Fred and produced the 5 children, one of whom has gone on to become one of the most destructive in the forces in the modern world since World War II. Awesome, Mary. Okay, so let's have a look at Mary and Fred. I'm not going to do big readings. Okay, so here we go. Mary and Fred. Okay. Trump's mother, Mary, went straight into domestic service. She was very poor when she arrived as a migrant, and she fell in love. She was in love with Fred, so it wasn't just a way out of poverty. It was a love match. We have here the 9 of Pentacles. She was ecstatic that it meant money and that she would be financially secure and that her 5 children could have an education. So she was very happy with her decision to marry Fred. Okay, so even though I'm sure nothing was completely smooth, she really moved up in the world and he was her passport to do that. The King of Swords, he ruled the family, even though it's in her column. This was her in relation to him. He ruled with an iron fist or ruled with a sword. Now, as I said, she was one tough biddy, so she could handle it, but it did come at a price. He could be quite cruel. It wouldn't have mattered what he did to her or the kids because she was there for the financial security. But he, this is telling me, was not a nice guy. He was the one to instigate the conflicts. I think this is Fred. Fred, I'm feeling, felt that everyone else was out to get him, you know. Do we see a pattern here with Donald? Everyone else was out to get him and he was battling on. And so he's sort of the island there, taking on the conflict, and he instigated the conflicts in the family. A nice card here, though, underneath it, hope and inspiration. They managed to instill inspiration and aspiration in their children. So even though she came from dire poverty, she wanted better for her children and got it. Even though he was, I suspect, a belligerent bastard, they managed to educate their children and got a better life for their children. Fred, though, then at a certain point in his life, reached an impasse, if you like, the hanged man, the suspended figure. I think he had mental issues. This could be why the brother was an alcoholic and Trump is mad. I don't know about the others. I think he was paranoid, seriously paranoid, thinking everyone was out to get him, but also at a certain point he came to realise he could do no more about it. And at that point he felt powerless. I don't know if he was still alive when the son died of alcoholism, but at a certain point this stroppy guy felt powerless and felt stuck. We'll just do one more on Fred. He consoled himself with the money. That makes sense. He felt embattled. He felt he'd done the right thing by the kids. Then he felt stuck, that he couldn't do any more. But you know what? In his very late years, before he died, I assume he's dead, he felt he'd done well and was viewed as doing well. So their marriage, you'd have to say, was of the era. You know, they weren't the only family with alcohol problems, God knows. I'm Irish by heritage. You don't want to go too far back there to see a few issues. So that's Trump's mob. Now we're going to look at Melania's parents. Now, as we know, Melania got given a very special visa, the exceptionally talented visa, otherwise known as the Einstein visa. This is reserved for people, usually, you know, astrophysicists and neurosurgeons or high-tech people or whatever, have an exceptional contribution to make. Well, Melania got one of those. So I guess that was, you know, how to cross your legs in 16 elegant and tantalising ways. I don't know quite what the criteria was, but she got that. Then her parents come out from Slovenia and presumably jumped the queue. Everyone's going on about this mythical migrant queue. Her father was also, as I read up, in the Communist Party for years in Slovenia. This is not unusual in Europe. If you go anywhere in Greece or Spain or Italy or lots of, you know, lots of people are in the Communist Party for years and years. Poland, anyway. Slovenia is no different. So I don't have an issue with that. What is interesting is the American government does, because it's one of the questions I know, having got an American visa at one point. Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? You know, it goes back to the McCarthy era, you know. So McCarthy, when he wasn't dressed as Dorothy in the fishnet stockings, was busy making life hell for anyone who had communist affiliations or union affiliations. So let's look at Melania's parents. That's an interesting flashback. You have these persistent rumours about Jared cross-dressing, and there was the famous, was it Hoover? Hoover? No, it was Hoover, not McCarthy. Hush my lips. J. Edgar Hoover was the tranny. Apparently used to dress as Dorothy, which is why a lot of gay communities still refer to Dorothy. It's not just the Wizard of Oz. Interesting. You heard it here. Okay. So not McCarthy. McCarthy was busy demonising anyone on the left, but it was Hoover who was the cross-dresser. Get back to me. Okay. Melania's parents. Okay. Mother, father. righty. With the mother, the same card as Fred Trump. She was feeling very stuck in Slovenia. She made sacrifices for Melania. I'm not sure if Melania has siblings. She made sacrifices for them to get ahead. Here, 3 women celebrating. That could be Melania, mum and a sister, or some other female relative, an auntie or a grandmother or whatever. So they were very happy when Melania got married. The King of Wands here, I think this is the mother in relation to the father. I think he was, on the one hand, sort of happy, because there's another card coming out here of happy families. He was sort of happy that she married this really rich guy, but not entirely happy. He was less happy than the mother. He felt, I think, Trump was too controlling. Isn't that interesting? You might think it was the other way around, but that's what I'm picking up from that. This is their happy family card. Yeah, right. Okay, so now everything's turned to shit. They're still presenting to the world, oh, you know, our daughter is the First Lady. How amazing is that? We're coming from a working class background in Slovenia, and she's now dressed in designer label day and night. It's a success. It's a success. But they know she's on the brink of walking away. Mysterious. This is really interesting. 2 cards shared with Fred Trump. One is the Hangman and the other is the Page of Pentacles. They're thinking, you know what, he never did get us and he never did get her, and he is controlling. But she will have the last laugh, the Page of Pentacles. They love Baron very dearly. This could be Baron. They hope he gets a decent education and uses his brain. The Page of Pentacles, youthful energy, but it's also, unlike the Page of Swords and some of the other pages, it's less warrior-like. It's more intellectual. They really want him to work with his brain in that way, and who knows what will take place there. But they are heavily invested in Baron. So that is what it is. The only interesting thing there, I think, for me, was the father not being happy. I would have thought it was the mother. There we go. Okay, I'm going to take a short break, and then I'm going to do the Pruitt reading for you. Okay, bye guys.